All right. Well, hey, good evening, everybody. It is Friday night. This is not a normal night for me to come on, but as I've had some conversations today with a few people, an interesting name keeps getting thrown around, and that name is James Houston. Now, I did want to come in to do the game designation or the final injury report before this weekend and talk about it because there's some names on here that we discussed this morning that they were all trending to be fine, and Davenport, it's a little sticky. So with Davenport kind of being on the doubtful side of things, the prodigal son, the problem, James Houston, keeps coming up in conversation. So with that happening, I want it to happen. I said it this morning. I think this is a great opportunity for the Lions to utilize his speed on the outside. And if it does happen, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, they're really limited, and that's what I wanted to talk about tonight is how limited they are right now with their depth chart. And I mean, we get DJ Reader for the first time, but we all have to understand and remember he hasn't played. So if we get 50% of the snaps out of this guy, I think we'd be pretty darn lucky. If he goes more than that, then hey, more power to him. But I just can't see where DJ's gonna, really get in there for more than 50%. But let's go through some game designations, and then I want to walk through the depth chart for a minute, and then tell you about the conversation that I had and what Dan Campbell had to say about James Houston. So let me pull it up here for you guys. Okay, that's not the right screen. Here we go. Lions Buccaneers injury report September 13th, Friday the 13th. What a weird day. I forget about these days exist still. Kind of a weird day, right? Ifeatu Melifonwu, good news for him is, well, he's still out. So I guess we don't have to worry about him for the weekend. It'd be nice to get him back. But the good news for him is he's not trending in the wrong direction, at least. He's still on his way back. He's getting better day by day. Maybe next week. Maybe week 6. I can guarantee you if it goes beyond week 6, we have a bigger problem. But I would say week 6 is probably the definitive deciding date for him to get back. But maybe next week is what I'm hearing. Isaiah Williams. So this one creeped up in practice. I believe it was yesterday. Had an abdomen issue. So he's already out. Marcus Davenport. So this is the main reason why I'm even coming in live tonight. Is doubtful. Doubtful to make it in. And this has been the conversation all off season, right? Look, you're bringing a guy in that's got an injury history. Just can't stay healthy. But man, when he is on the field, does he do some work? Groin issue is not easy. Hopefully he doesn't have a tear, in the labrum or something like that. Maybe he's stretched something, the wrong way. Not real sure. Don't have definitive answers, but it's not good. Does it mean that he's totally out? No. But the fact that he's doubtful and it's Friday, that's not a good sign. Kirby Joseph, questionable. This one I'm more comfortable with. I think that he's going to be okay. The hope is he doesn't get into the game and re-aggravate it, right? That's the hope. Penei Sewell, we know that this guy is as tough as they come. He does not miss time. And with an ankle injury, as long as it's not a high ankle, and I think Dan Campbell said today it was more medial. I think if that's who he was talking about, Penei Sewell. I couldn't hear the question, as usual, from the media. But if it's more medial, that's better news. A lower ankle is a little bit easier to deal with than a high ankle, obviously. So he'll probably be in. I don't think there's any worry there. Jamison Williams, another ankle injury. A lot of ankle injuries in this first game. I'm not worried about him either, but here's the biggest problem that we face, and that'll be popping up here in a video coming up this evening. Somebody's getting called up. So that is another conversation we'll have later on this evening after Chef does his 7 p.m. So Carlton Davis, obviously good to go. He won't miss this game. DJ Reader, it's about time we get to see this man in action. And Lawrence Strickland, finally good to go with a thumb. So the good news here with Lawrence Strickland, even though he's young, is if Kirby's having any sort of a problem in this game, if they're trying to limit his snaps, at least we have another, backup safety that can step in and play some snaps. Definitely not a 1-for-1 trade-off here between Kirby and Lawrence Strickland. Not a 1-for-1. But at least it's good news that we have some good backups here. Brent, you really haven't missed much, man. We're just kind of going over the injury report. So now the main conversation, what did I want to talk about really tonight is about the problem, James Houston. So Dan Campbell on the podium was asked a few questions today about James Houston. One of it being, what does Houston have to do to be active on game days? That's a loaded question, right? Because Houston he's worked his butt off in his first season to make it in, the last 8 games or so of the season, or 7 games. And, his second year, he gets injured. He's out for an entire season just about, and doesn't help, right? I mean, he's working his way back in a very loaded room. But here's the problem. Not James Houston the problem, but the problem that we're facing right now as a team already. Week 2, when you look at the overall room, Marcus Davenport is doubtful. John Kaminsky's on IR. Broderick Martin is on IR. Nate Lynn is on IR. David Bada is on IR. We are very thin. We've got 4 guys on IR and 1 guy that's doubtful. So you have Aiden Hutchinson. You have James Houston, right? That's it for your left defensive end. You have Ali McNeil and Kyle Pecco. And then you have DJ Reader and Levi O. And then you have Marcus Davenport and Josh Paschal on the other side. So this is kind of a problem, like legit problem. We do not have depth. If we lose another guy in this game, if somebody else gets injured, we are extremely thin. Now, this is a really tough defensive front. We needed everybody in this game to really manhandle and take advantage of the offensive line that the Tampa Bay Bucks, are having some trouble with themselves. So this is a great opportunity to go in and do some damage. But it's also a great opportunity if you're on the fence with Davenport and want to give him a week or 2 weeks of rest until the week 3. This almost is a game to do it. Maybe. It depends if Godecki's out. If Godecki's out, this is the game to do it. If he's not out, the Davenport's just going to have to nut up and get out there, in my opinion. But that's a lot easier said than done because I'm sitting here and he's over there working his butt off. But when we don't have anybody behind Aiden, other than James Houston, how can James Houston not be called up? The word on the street is he's going to be, quote unquote, elevated, but activated for Sunday. You almost cannot not do it. Ali McNeil has Kyle Pecco behind him. Like I said, and DJ Reader, look, you're not expecting him to play an entire game. So if you're going to have Levi and DJ kind of switching in and out, and you've got Levi and Ali McNeil kind of switching in and out, and you're limiting the snaps, between the 3 of them, they'd have to play a minimum. Ali would have to get 50, 60, 70%. DJ Reader, 40, 50%. Levi would have to pick up another 50%. And then Mekhi Wingo's going to have to get his snaps. Now, here's the only other thing that was talked about today is that Mekhi Wingo may be rolled to the outside. Now, there's been a lot of talk with Mekhi Wingo playing inside and outside. So this could be a shot to see what Mekhi Wingo has on the right side of this defense, switching possibly with Aiden, wherever Mekhi is going to be the most comfortable, wherever he has an easier opportunity, I think is where they're going to put him. So both of those came up in conversation today, and I think it makes perfect sense. So you can't roll into this weekend without James. If Marcus Davenport is out, I don't see how you can unless you roll in with an extra linebacker. But who are we going to put? Who are we going to put up on the defensive line? We're going to run 4 linebackers, I guess. Are we going to just stick in nickel all day? We could. I think we're in some trouble here to a degree. We still have, a starting cast of players, absolutely, but it's behind them. It's the depth that we're worried about because it's not like these guys can play 100% of the snaps. So, let me get into Dan Campbell. Here's what he said about Houston and getting him active for game days. He said, so much of it is it could be him or it could be a defensive back. Yeah. So what's going to bring more to you and what plays into that is, and special teams is a big one. What he's saying here is kind of the same thing that we were talking about with the 53-man roster. On game day, when you're looking at your roster and where you're healthy and where you need depth, well, if this is a game that you're going to need an extra defensive back and you're going up against a really good receiver room and a good, passer of the ball in Baker Mayfield, if you suffer an injury in this game, or if someone gets banged up for, half a quarter and has to come out a series or two, you need an extra backup DB. So there could be a game that they're looking at this and saying, yeah, we got a couple of bumps and bruises here. We're already light. We're going to have to roll an extra DB into this game. That's where James Houston doesn't get called up. I see it both ways in this game. You are going up against a really good receiver room, but you have 5 injuries on your defensive line. 5. And Davenport is a much needed piece on this team. He was very productive in week 1. So Houston obviously was injured on a special teams play in 2023. Didn't participate much in training camp on punts or kicks. So that's another negative, right? So if Houston's not playing special teams, then there's another reason why he's not going to get called up if he can't be utilized in special teams to take some of the weight off of the rest of the team. So another quote here said, what about injury in other areas? So maybe you need the insurance, is what Dan Campbell said. Some of it is, what kind of production is that going to bring, or how many snaps is he going to get? Talking about not playing special teams and only, being a third down guy primarily, right? Pass rusher primarily. Dan goes on to say, so I really can't answer that clearly, but he's another guy. I mean, he's here, he's working. We'd love to get him up if the possibility presents itself or the opportunity presents itself. And so we'll just take it as it comes. Well, I think we have an opportunity this weekend. Here's what we're looking at. We got starters Aiden Hutchinson and Marcus Davenport, both healthy and dominant versus the Rams. Not this week. This week, Davenport is injured. So this is an opportunity for Houston to come in and show us what, he used to do. So that's really the news that I wanted to share tonight. Again, your injury report, we'll go over it one more time. This will change on Sunday morning. Fatu Melifonwu is out. Isaiah Williams is out. Davenport is doubtful. Kirby Joseph, Penei Sewell, and Jamison Williams are questionable. And as I understand it right now, they are planning on playing. So unless something really happens between now and Sunday, these guys should be good to go. And then Carlton Davis, DJ Reader, Lauren Strickland, full participants the last 3 days. So super excited to see DJ Reader finally get his opportunity. This is going to be a big game for him. Here's the one thing that I'm not worried about. Now that we're going to be able to bring some interior pressure, and you have a guy like Ali McNeil that can get after the passer, this will alleviate some of the pressure on the defensive ends. As long as the defensive backs can stick, a little bit, I think we'll be okay. We might have to roll a DB down, right? If they don't bring Houston up for some reason, which I don't think is going to be the case, but if they didn't, it is possible that we're rolling DBs down and firing DB blitz more so, than running 2 ends at the quarterback. I think this is a game you kind of sit and wait. Let Aiden do his thing. Let one edge kind of sit, contain, and start firing some linebackers and some DBs at Baker. I think that's how we win this game, to be honest with you. We put Baker on his heels and then on his back, and you just attack him from all different angles. So I'll stay on for a couple more minutes. What does everybody have to say here? Broski Bear, Davenport injured. No way. Who could have predicted that? Yeah, I know. Can't do nothing about a groin. It's tough, man. You got one, right? Hell, you can slip in the shower and you hurt your groin. Been there, done that. Not fun. Broski is usually pretty tamed. Houston will get a sack Sunday. 1,000%, Rob. 1,000%. Dave Scott, looking forward to Reader on the field. Me too. Me too, man. What happened to Isaiah Williams at practice? Got hurt abdomen? Yes. Just don't know the exact details, Eric. Rob says, with Reeder and Hutch taking double teams, Aleem and Houston will eat. Absolutely. I can't imagine Hutch is going to take up any double teams, though. If Godecki is out, I don't, well, I mean, they might have to double team that side if Godecki is out, even if Godecki is in, but they just can't double team everybody. You know, I mean, if you can get one guy double teamed, great, but two guys on this defense, man, you're packing your own lunch at that point. Brent, so we are back to rushing a safety again. Look, I'd rather see us rushing a DB. I'd rather see Brian Branch or somebody get in there. I think that's a perfect play. The biggest thing is, and you kind of heard AG talk about it this week, we were in a lot of zone defense versus the Rams. And I saw it, and I was upset about it because I'm like, come on, we got the right guys, and we're running zone, and we got picked apart. So we can't have that happen. And I don't know if this is a game that you really want to run man against, Evans and Godwin, especially missing Davenport right now, and with Terry and Arnold still kind of, getting his feet under him a little bit. We're probably going to be in some more zone. I think. I'd rather see us in man, but I don't know if it's really going to work out the way that I'm seeing it right now. If we're going to be light on defensive linemen, because if you can't get the pressure and good pressure, I'm not just talking, a pressure just because it's counted as a pressure, right? I think you guys know what I'm talking about here. I don't want these ticky-tacky pressures. I want real pressure, where the line is collapsing, the quarterback has to move, has to get out of there, has to make a scrambling play. That's pressure. But just pressure because you crossed a certain line, that's for the birds. I want to see the quarterback under duress, right? Not just getting, a check mark for a pressure because you crossed a threshold. Michael Adenko, it's a new name. Welcome in, buddy. Appreciate you joining tonight. Says, I agree, we need serious pressure. We absolutely do. Rob Newsom says, I'm good with rushing a safety, just doing it on 3rd and 4th and 10. Travis Scott, my only concern is if Panay can't go. If that is the case, we may be in a little bit of trouble. Probably more so if Panay is out. Yeah, I could see where that's going to cause us some issues. Colby has not shown enough. Skipper, I mean, he's our swing tackle, right? I don't know what the lines are going to do here if Panay's out. Are they going to slide Graham outside? Would they put Graham on the right side and slide Colby in at left tackle or left guard? I could see that. Will they just slide, Skipper out there? I could see that. They've put Colby, at tackle. Obviously, we'd have to probably run a lot more 12 personnel, I think, if we really want to get some of the plays off that Ben Johnson loves to run, more so than 11 personnel. Have an extra tight end back there, or, Parker Hess is probably just going to have to be utilized a whole heck of a lot, which limits us, right? We lose a wide receiver option. So Panay's going to be good. He's going to wrap it. He'll get in there. He'll be fine. At least that's the thought process today. So anyway, Houston. I got to see this guy in. I'm hoping that he's getting in. I'm hoping this conversation is correct. I usually don't have bad conversations with people. Most of the stuff that I bring to the table comes to fruition. Probably 95% or more of it. This is one I'm more confident in if Davenport is truly out. If Davenport is in, I do not see Houston getting called up. Even though I feel that's a mistake. I think you need his speed. And I think you need what he presents opposite of Aiden, because there has not really been a team when our team is healthy that could stop Houston. I mean, you go back and look at the games that he's played in. How many teams have really stopped him from getting a sack? Not many. And he's had multiple sacks in games. And these are sacks that are, third down sacks and flipping the field sacks and sacks at the right time. Extremely fast, vicious, violent sacks. He's a sack master. That's just what he does. And I understand Dan's point of view. Like, they've got a methodology to this whole thing. You've got to play special teams if you want to get called up every week. And he doesn't. So For me, I'd rather see James get in there. This is where sacks do matter to me when we need them. You know, when you're going up against a quarterback that can move, you need guys with speed. James still has some work to do. He does, but there's one thing that he does really well. We may not just have the benefit of having an extra position open this weekend because of the amount of injuries that this team has. Look, I trust in Dan and Brad 1,000%. Whatever they decide to do, I always trust in what they do, and we roll with it. That's all I can do as a fan. But I still think that James is going to have a day if he gets in. At least, 20, 30% of the snaps. If he gets in, I think he's going to have a day. I think you can count him for one, for sure. And I'm excited to see him hopefully get an opportunity. It's been a long time coming. Travis Scott says he's already over Davenport. 2 games in, and he's already injured. Let him sit on the bench and bring up Houston and kick Davenport to the curb at the end of the season. Yeah, I'm not going to go that far, Travis. It's early. Davenport's been good, man. He had a great first game. Like, you can't deny the stats that we went over this week with that. He had the fastest sack, and he was the closest to Matthew Stafford for all the pressure. So, and there's some next gen stats that give you some really good detail. And Davenport was closer than Hutch and faster than Hutch, and that's telling. I think that's telling. It's his angle, and I think that when you watch the difference between Hutch and Davenport takes more of a direct angle. He doesn't do a bunch of spins. He just overpowers you. Hutch, on the other hand, does some spins, and he's trying to finesse his way in there instead of just overpowering you, right, with a good bull rush. Davenport, man, Aleem said it. He's just going to run through your face, and he's going to run through your face right to the quarterback. And I saw it plenty of times on Sunday where he utilized his power to his advantage and his long arms. See, Hutch's arms are, in my opinion, they're still a couple inches short for how big he is, for how tall he is. But he finds a way to get home, too. I'm not knocking the dude. It's just each player has their own set of skills, right? Their own little set of tools. And Davenport is running through your face and using his long arms and his power punch to his advantage. Hutch has his own set of tools. And together, hey, if they work well, they work well. Got to give Davenport some time. Groins suck. I mean, they can happen to anybody at any time. Thankfully, Hutch has been relatively injury-free, right? If we lose Hutch, then we'll have some issues. And you know what? If Hutch was injured this week, I guarantee you Davenport would play no matter what, just because we would need him. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Steve K says Hutch is a one-trick pony. He kind of is. He doesn't have a whole lot, of mixture as far as what he can do. But the things that he does do well, he does do well. And I'm sure he'll continue to get better. Does Hutch play special teams? No, but he plays all 3 downs. And that's the difference, whereas Houston's not playing all 3 downs. He's primarily a 3rd down pass rusher, but you know what? Why not rush the passer on 2nd down or 1st down or, all downs and just let him do it every single time and roll the DB behind him, and don't take him out of the play. But that's me being greedy. Can't do that. Without Hutch, we would be in trouble. We would be. I think that we would be. We don't have anybody right now that can really slide over there with all these injuries and help us. But I'm sure that's going to be fixed here soon. There's talks of trades. No, Hassan Reddick is not coming to this team, but there's talks of trades. Will the Lions be in the hunt before the trade deadline? I think so. I just don't know if it's going to be defense or offense. All right, that's it for tonight. Let's go One Pride. Let's go Detroit Lions, man. I'm getting excited. I'll be there Sunday. Megan's going to join me for the game, and we're going to have a blast, and the Lions are going to win, and you guys are going to join us at the Uberman tailgate at Shed 2 in Eastern Market. Hope to see you guys all there. So until the next time I come in or come on or do a video, you guys take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
All grips.
Evolution. This is the future.
All grips.